very interesting role actually. It's a law firm, and it's a law firm that identified nuclear as a separate subject area probably quite a long time before most of the other law firms, about probably 10, 12 years ago. So it had a fairly long history in nuclear. I came across them when I was working at Imperial College. I needed to go out. I'm a lawyer. I was working in-house at Imperial. And when I was working on the reactor decommissioning project there, I had to go out and get some specialist nuclear advice, which was beyond me. So I went out and procured some advice, and Burges Salmon, a firm I'd never heard of at that time, won the procurement. And so they worked for me for a number of years when I was at Imperial, and then when I left Imperial I went to work at Burges Salmon. And what it's done, what Burges Salmon, what we the team have done, is carved out quite a niche actually in the UK nuclear sector and increasingly overseas. What we're finding is we can take the best practice from the UK in a similar way to engineering and some of the other sort of scientific subjects. We can in law take some of the best subjects, some of the best ways of dealing with issues and applying those overseas. So Burges Salmon, in my view, fills a fairly unique role in UK nuclear. Its client list is quite extraordinary. All the big players, we advise all the big players. We've worked on just about every licensed site in the UK. And if there's anything groundbreaking happening, generally there's a Burges Salmon hand behind it. Well, my role really has become, over the years, has become more and more ambassadorial really. You know, Burges Salmon appreciates it's got quite a unique role in nuclear, and it services a wide range of clients, but also at the same time tries to give quite a lot back to the sector. So by chance, several years ago, I got sort of involved in one or two initiatives. And actually I've got involved in more sector-wide initiatives. So for example, I set up with Ron Gorham of the NDA, the SME Mentor Scheme for small companies looking to get into nuclear. So Ron Gorham and I and Sam Dancy worked on that. Also set up the SME steering groups for the regions with Ron Gorham, so I wrote the terms of reference for that. Another things we do, we write a book every year on the nuclear sector and law, and twice a year I lead on the production of a nuclear glossary. So really it's designed for people new to the sector and to help demystify some of the language. I mean, it's bewildering, quite frankly. I remember, it's probably about 10 years ago now, I was out with a bunch of engineers one night and I simply didn't have a clue what they were talking about. And I thought, this is not good enough, and I thought there must be lots of other people in the same boat. There's about 12 people, we all get together a couple of times a year and actually write a glossary. Yeah, how I entered nuclear was not really a traditional route. I was working at Imperial College as an in-house lawyer, running with various projects, and one day the Director of Estate said to me, how do you fancy doing some decommissioning planning for the reactor? Naturally I was quite reluctant to start, but I eventually was convinced by a colleague, a nuclear physicist friend of mine called Simon Franklin, who convinced me it'd be a good career move, and so I did it. And so I went down to work on the licensed site for a couple of years, part of a small team that gave me incredible experience and a real breadth of experience of an awful lot of the jobs that need to be done on the site and to administer from a legal and regulatory point of view a licensed site. So in that couple of years of working down at Ascot, I got quite a lot of experience. Would I change things? Actually, I think the timing was about right. I'd enjoyed my career, been fairly general, but I enjoyed it. And then to specialise 10 years ago in something which at the time was really quite different. Nuclear wasn't particularly sexy back then, and it is now. In terms of the benefits of the YGN, I think I might even spin that round actually. You know, what are the benefits to the sector of the YGN being there? Well, I think they've been tremendous benefits to the sector. I mean, for many years they've flown the flag, they're the rowdy people in the room, but they've got enthusiasm. It's the enthusiasm of, you know, the enthusiasm of youth actually. I've probably worked with the YGN now going back before Corin Parr. I think I was involved with one of the presidents before Corin, Certainly been quite involved with everybody since, with Connor, with Monica. Highlights, I think for me personally, the highlight actually was at the December dinner last year in Park Lane, when by complete surprise my name was read out and I was given the YGN award. Describe it in one word: gobsmacked. I was speechless. I was sitting with Chris Squires from EDF and Amanda McMillan from Horizon, and they were clapping and everything else, and Amanda said, "Gareth, that's you. Stand up and go and get the award." I was in shock. There's various things I enjoy about interaction with the YGN, but the other very fulfilling thing is actually working with the committee. And I suppose in some respects, bringing some of my experience to bear with the committee. I mean, a couple of years ago, we set up something called the Legal and Commercial Seminar. It was basically to try and teach young engineers some of the sort of more commercial skills, some of the tools from the lawyer's book of trickery, body language and all kinds of softer skills, just to help the engineers become more rounded in business. They've got the technical skills. Let's try and introduce them to some of the commercial skills. Mentoring as well. It's in the most informal way. Just sort of adding, the odd idea into something. One of your chairs would phone me up sometimes and just ask me questions, what I thought about things, and that was rewarding actually. And there's a couple of other people in the industry who are heavily involved. The person who springs to mind actually is Adrian Bull. He does a lot of similar work. And I think that's good. It's then a bridge, isn't it, between the generations. It's sharing that knowledge, and it's encouraging the young people to come through and really hoping they won't make the same mistakes that we made. I mean, even my short amount of time in the nuclear sector, I suppose I've been in it full time, 12, maybe 14 years. Perception has changed, radically. It's not the grey, dark sector that I think it was once perceived as. It's sexy. People are interested in it now. There's been a complete change of opinion about it and the people who work in it. I think it's a very good sector to enter. What other sector has such longevity as far as careers are concerned and such variety?